basically happened was I just woke up ill, so I skipped like 2 of my classes that I didn't really need to go to, and then went to the other 2, and then came home, and I've kind of just been lounging around because I don't really feel well. So.
Well, if you need to reschedule.
Nope.
Okay.
Oh,
this I can do.
all right. Sorry to hear that, though.
What do you have?
Hey, Silver.
Hello.
I think it's some stomach bug that's not hit me yet. I was like ill yesterday, and I like threw the entire day away, and then I woke up and just kind of threw today away as well. Like I was looking forward to this the most out of the day. So,
boy, are you going to be disappointed.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot you can do about stomach bugs except ride them out and try to treat the symptoms. Last time that happened to me, I downed a whole bottle of
pretty much, yeah. I just moved.
All right, this is FNGR with Limbo Podcast, followed by the following co-hosts. The Burning Donut.
Hey.
Brawny Buck.
Greetings.
Calpain.
Hey, guys.
SilverQuill.
Who are you people?
No idea.
And this week's King of Limbo, ABagOVicodin.
Hello there, how are you all?
No pressure, man.
Yeah, no problem.
No problem at all. Now, obviously, I have a bunch of questions here put together, but if anybody else would like to sit there and just to cue everybody in, the guest has a background in journalism, if you have anything relevant to that, or possibly his current employment with EQD. Or, they'll start you off easy here. What do you do in your spare time? How would you like to be addressed as, anyways, for the podcast?
Just Vicodin's okay.
Vicodin
in my spare time, I kind of divert depending on what really interests me. The last year or so, I was doing fan fiction under ABagOVicodin on FimFiction, and I kind of did that for a while, and then just made a whole bunch of friends in the FimFiction community, as well as people on EQD. But recently, since like 2 months ago, I started doing analysis/reviewing. Since I would say June-ish, I was doing things called editorials on Equestria Daily, which were basically written versions of analysis videos. And then I decided to, I would do them basically a day or 2 days in advance once I get a good idea. And then I decided to do them even longer in advance and give myself an extra day or so to make them into videos. And then I started one of them off by just doing an audio version. A lot of people like that. And then I started just recently, I kind of had troubles with my living situation, so I wasn't really able to record or anything. And then recently I picked up the mic again and just started doing videos again, as well as, now that we're in a hiatus, I basically get time to catch up. I only really reviewed What About Discord and then all the episodes after that. So I still have 22-ish episodes to review if I want to. And those are my plans during the hiatus, to review those, post more stuff on EQD, and just focus on personal projects.
What mic do you use?
I bought a Blue Yeti a week ago.
Good man.
I used a Snowball before that, and then it worked well for 3 years and then stopped working.
Considering the price tag, that's very reasonable.
Yeah, it stopped working the day before our first Equestria Daily podcast. That's the other thing that I do that I forgot to mention. So I got the free trial of Amazon Prime and just got a Yeti, and I got it within 9 hours. I
did the same thing. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I bought it at 2 a.m. The day before the podcast, or the day of the podcast. And then I got it 7, 8 around there hours later. And I was just like, oh my God, Amazon does not fuck around.
Oh yeah, even I ordered it on Sunday and got it Monday, around noon. And I'm like, thank God. I don't know who the guest was, but it was somebody, I think it was Siriano, he's an artist Donut's aware of, but anyways, we'll move on.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Oh, certainly. Brawny, you've had a lot of convention experience. Is there anything you want to ask in regards to that, maybe?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but if something...
Oh, here, I'll try and walk him through it then. What conventions have you been to?
First ever convention I went to was the first Equestria LA, so 2012. And I went there and was basically the type of spaghetti spurge lord that you would expect. I didn't even know anyone on EQD at that point. I think this might be one of your other questions, but when I started off in Pony, the Luna Eclipsed episode was sent to me just randomly from one of my friends, and then I watched it, and I was like, okay, this wasn't terrible. And I usually have a knack for watching something and then forgetting it exists. I did the same thing with Game of Thrones. I watched the first episode, just haven't picked it up since. But for Pony, I waited another 3 months, then I picked it up again once I had spare time. Pretty much marathoned everything up until season 3 2023-ish. And then I went back through EQD and downloaded the last like 12 months of music. Like I just spent a week going through all of the music and downloading all of that. So like my 2012 Brony years are what I would call like the cringe years. Cause like I remember getting an autograph from Tara Strong and like calling her Twilight Licious, like that kind of shit. So yeah.
How old were you when you started?
Oh, I'm 22 now. So that puts me at around 18, 19 range.
Well, you know what? More than a decade ago, I probably wasn't that cool either. Or still not.
Well, it was like,
Yeah, I'm still not cool, and you youngins today, you kid, get off my lawn.
Being that young, you can, forgive yourself for some things.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I'm pretty glad where I am now. But yeah, just on EQLA, it was the first convention I went to, moderately neat. And then I went to BronyCon 2013. That was my next convention. And there was no EQLA in 2014. So I was pretty much BronyCon 2013, BronyCon 2015. And then there's actually going to be Pacific PonyCon in a month, which I'm going to because it's literally in my city. I'm like a half hour away from it. So I could just take a bus and go there. So I already bought a ticket.
How many people?
That sounds pretty good.
What people did you meet from EQD over at BronyCon?
BronyCon 2013 was when I met Pegasus Rescue Brigade, who was a pre-reader. I knew him like when I first got into the fandom. I was an editor for an audiobook for his fic called Shipping and Handling. And it kind of just, like, Pegasus introduced me to the pre-readers in 2013, the first BronyCon I went to, and it was just kind of like, oh, hey, hi, cool. Like, I was a nobody. So, like, they weren't dicks, but they were just kind of like, okay, yeah, you exist. Nice to meet you. And I was like, yeah, I love EQD, but Seth was never there, so there wasn't really much to add. But 2014 is when things got interesting. I had, like, the chance to just hang out with them and just got in their good graces. Like, my sense of humor was the same as theirs, and like that was around the time where, like a bunch of brony drama was happening, and we were able to like bounce that around and make fun of it, as well as like just chill, talk about writing, because there were a few stories of writing that I got onto EQD, and I was able to talk about those, as well as some other. 2014, I actually hung out with them, and I got added to their Skype chat, basically. And then I was able to just talk with them and chill. I wasn't an official pre-reader, so I couldn't like provide any sort of opinion about fics, but they liked me there, and I stayed there, and I got into actual EQD in June, around there.
If I may,
yeah.
What's your favorite thing to do at conventions, and do you do any actual work at them? Like, have you ever worked for one, or do you just hang out with your friends?
I mostly hang out with my friends, but I was actually I got to interview Amy Keeting Rogers at a media event this BronyCon, and that was really fun. Actually, a bit of a bummer, because like basically what happens is you get press passes, and you're able to go into like these secret rooms where only people with press passes can go into, and you just basically interview the people like group style. And I was the only one there. There were two other people from Horse News that were there, but they were recording it. So I was the only one that had actual questions.
So you're saying
when you see out then, that's pretty cool. What kind of questions did you ask?
I basically asked her about her writing style, like, because I watched basically a lot of her stuff that she did before Pony. I watched them in advance, like her Foster's episodes. I watched a bunch of those, and I like made kind of a poking joke towards her where I was like, how can you like to write crazy kooky characters in all of your episodes? And she was like, oh, I have no idea why, like winking at me and be like, yeah, it's because I'm kooky, you weirdo.
That's awesome. Do you have any other stories that stick with you through these kinds of things? Anything that stands out in particular?
Well, I did panels, and those are fun. A few on the BronyCon YouTube channel. I was a part of 4 panels, and 3 of them were recorded. One of them was lost to space and time for reasons that I will never understand. I got to be on basically 3 writing panels, and then the Equestria Daily panel, because I just got onto the staff. I was on there for like a month. I got to basically chill there with a bunch of other pre-readers, like one other blog author, 1 or 2, and it was really neat because there were a lot of like people at the Equestria Daily panel, whereas all of the writing panels I was on, there were not that many, because they were all except for one at like 10 o'clock. 10 p.m.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, there was all of the writing panels were really fun because from what I've heard, and they may have like just flattered me, but I was told that I moderated 2 of them and I was told that I did well on both. Just provide honest answers and good critique for questions that are kind of generalized. A lot of panel questions when it comes to writing are usually attempts for them to figure out your way to fix their story.
Interesting. What would you say your writing style is like? What kind of story do you tend to tell, and how do you tend to tell it?
I prefer to write stories that have some sort of idea behind them. All of my very popular stories, Therapist Visit, Dash's New Mom, On the Wings of the Moon, all of them have to do with the reason that there is a problem is because there is either miscommunication or a relationship, either friend or love struggle.
Would you be willing to tell me the title of that story that I might look it up myself?
It's called Therapist Visit. It was actually on Equestria Daily.
I'll tell you what, if you drop a link to that in the room, I'll include it in the description.
Yes.
Actually, you can recommend that. I know somebody who reviews fan fiction, so I'll try.
The ending is kind of predictable. Kind of compare it to My Little Dashie. Like one of the first.
Goodness, why would you degrade yourself like that?
Yeah, right.
Didn't that make you cry back in the day, bro?
I
Not
went
exactly.
for these Luna's replies are the only things. So like Luna will say something, and then the next line it has her response to what the therapist said.
You said Calpain is a nice guy. Do you have any stories about that you'd care to share?
I met Calpain only once, and that was in BronyCon 2013 when I was a nobody. So actually, I have no stories about Calpain other than like he is aggressively likable to the point where it's insulting.
Oh yeah,
Like you question yourself because of Calpain's existence. Like I look like I'm looking at his OC's face on the Skype right now, and I'm like, God damn it, you just look more and more likable. And he talks and he's likable and he types in Skype, and it's just, I self-criticize myself whenever I look at his dumb earth pony face.
Damn it, Calpain. Why do you have
That's
to be
racist.
so good and make me look so bad?
Yeah, like I had him on, we did an Equestria Daily podcast with the subject on AppleJack. EQD kind of had a stigma of, like, we kind of, from what I've heard, pushed the AppleJack as a background pony joke. And then I actually did a editorial on pandering within the fandom, where I was questioning how much of it we should have, as well as what is like the healthy kind of pandering. And in the beginning of that, like the Saber Spark throws pandas joke, I like threw that up, put like Megan McCarthy's Twitter from like season 3 when she like, here bronies, here's a panda. And I was like, this joke is more dead than AppleJack's parents. And the entire comment section.
Okay, that's
Even
low.
yeah,
I
even
think
me,
Calpain,
sir.
do you remember that, Calpain?
No,
I remember that.
I remember seeing
I'm
that.
a cruel, heartless monster, and Jesus.
Yeah.
I do remember
And-
that. There was
Right,
some
so
editing.
Yeah,
gotta
and I
tell you
took the
guys-
joke out because the point of my editorials is I want to spark some sort of discussion or conversation.
That's getting
And the
time
conversation became how much of a meanie I am, so I took the joke out.
Well,
Yeah, that's how the comments will usually get you. They'll focus on one little thing on an entire article, and
Yeah.
that's all they'll talk about. That's it.
Well, I gotta admit that's not exactly a little thing.
Well,
Like,
okay, now I gotta
well-
tell you guys this story real quick.
All right, I gotta hear this.
I went to Everfree Northwest in 2014, where I believe it was, I want to say Capper General, but I could be wrong. One of the guys from Equestria Daily was playing Family Feud against a couple of the voice
Oh,
actors.
did he say what is Spike good at?
There was that, and there was who was the best background pony, and then the top answer turned out to be AppleJack, and everybody in there, especially the voice actors, were just super disappointed in all of us. Now, I was there working as a photographer. I turned
Yeah.
around to the whole audience and made sure everyone could hear me. This is why we can't have nice things.
Oh yeah, I remember that quote. I was in the audience. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, the
Well, that was me.
all in good fun, and it wasn't. EQD just currently has that type of stigma where we hate AppleJack, and
Oh, geez.
I
how
aim to
dare
do I wanted to do the AppleJack podcast to kind of blow that over and like make it to where no, it's just easy to joke about it because it's not that we hate AppleJack, it's because we're unfunny.
That's the first podcast. All right, I'm definitely linking that. So
Well,
all the AppleJack fans, I need you to go down to EQD's first podcast.
Well, you know what they say.
Yeah.
Dying is easy. Comedy's hard.
Dude.
Pretty much.
The last time I talked to Calpain, about a year ago, he said that Equestria Daily was averaging about 350,000 hits a day during the hiatus. How was it going during the season 5?
I have no idea, but I heard that we had a lot.
No, I was just seeing if you had any idea if things have improved, gone down, just to get a general idea of how the
I
fans...
mean, the only type of frame of reference that I have is the comments section when I do like my editorials and stuff. And it feels like the same as anything else, where like if you have a topic that is inherently more interesting, then you're going to have more comments. I've done editorials on like the 2014 fandom animations, Can Starlight Glimmer Be Reformed? Like I did a recent one on Dave Polsky's writing style that I should really pick back up. But yeah, I mean, I would say that it's pretty steady. It's doing pretty well. Like EQD is going to do well over the hiatus. Like it's not going to have any sort of trouble. From what I've heard, I mean, Calpain could probably answer the question better than I can.
Oh, I was kind of...
Like,
I only had like a handful of questions. If you're comfortable with me asking Calpain that, if Calpain's comfortable answering.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were still salty over season 3 for reasons that I will never understand, or at least I will understand but don't agree. And then season 5 came back, and people were like, "Oh, holy shit!" And then they decided to stay.
So Cal, from your experience, are the hits up or down?
I would say that at least during season 5, they definitely were up over the hiatus numbers from the between season 4 and season 5. We had a whole year hiatus. Numbers are in the 300,000s, I would say. They're down a bit now that the hiatus is going, but I think in big part though we won't really know until after like finals weeks are over for a lot of people all over the United States and elsewhere where we're going to end up at, because it's taken a hit down and we've been noticing a decline in emails and stuff this week. But I bet you it's because like everybody's freaking out about finals, and it always happens every year, and Seth freaks out about it and then he has to talk to me about it, and I'm like, it's gonna be okay, Seth, it'll be all right.
I did have another follow-up from the last time we talked. I think it was January. You were going on to try out for a substitute teacher. Did you ever receive your teacher certificate yet?
I've been subbing for about a year now, and I've actually now that I know that I liked subbing, I wanted to give subbing a chance first to see if I actually liked doing that stuff before I went whole hog for a teaching certificate. So I've been doing very well in that earlier this year, and so far this year through the fall it's been very nice, very, very pleasant. And I've actually enrolled in school again, and I will be getting my teaching certificate hopefully sometime next year.
That's wonderful news. You said you've been involved with Equestria Daily since 2012. What's improved since then, and what's something maybe you like that they've stopped, what you wish they were still doing, maybe?
Most of the things I wish they were still doing are things that I need to do. The things I do like, are most proud of with the site, is I really love our meetup map that I designed about 2 or 3 years ago. I really like that thing. The tutorial page, I like that Seth is not, putting up as much analysis as he used to. That used to be a big firebug. It used to be a big thing of contention back then when we would just post up like every review in like a singular post, and things could get a little hairy. I'd say we've settled on some good reviewers like SilverQuill here.
Thank you.
He does a great job.
Is analysis a dirty word now? Is that why
it's not so much a dirty word, I guess. It's just that there were some people in there that went to some extremes and stuff, and maybe made analysis kind of, I don't know, something people would have hesitated on. I know there was some instances where there were some reviewers in our fandom that did some kind of crazy stuff, and there was a bunch of drama about that and whatnot.
I can certainly vouch that we managed to make ourselves one of the black sheeps of the fandom, right next to the fan fiction writers.
Yeah, I'm not saying that.
Brawny, you were upsetting me till you got to that save at the end.
Congratulations.
You restored my faith, sir.
Here's what I do. I drag you down with me. I may take you down, but I'm just going to jump in right after you, so it doesn't matter.
That was wonderful. Say one more last thing, since you've been very helpful there. I noticed JJ stopped updating a while ago. I can never get his name right.
Joseco?
Yeah. Is that Calpain pronounced it differently last time I heard it? And I didn't
Joseco. Joseco?
Oh, okay. Yeah, like Joseco?
Joseco.
Okay. The last time we talked, you mentioned he was in the hospital and he just went on a hiatus for 4 months. Is Gamer Luna permanently shelved or?
He's been incredibly busy with other projects and stuff like that. He's mainly focusing right now on things that will, keep him housed and full of food and stuff like that. So he's focusing on his, current comic project, Hunters of Salamonstra, and also some other comics for other sites that he gets paid commission for. And he also has a Patreon now, so he's earning some money from that, but he's been incredibly busy. So I don't know, I haven't heard him say he's given up on it, but it's certainly right now an indefinite hiatus.
Well, I've always respected the artist's right to sit there and make a living. Any chance of having a link to any of his active projects, and maybe even his Patreon, I'll make sure to include that in the description.
Oh yeah, sure. Let me see. Hunters.
Fun fact, I saw him at jury duty last year.
Oh really?
Yeah, apparently he lives close to San Diego because I explicitly saw him at jury duty. He, as well as I, were trying to get out of it by saying that we were unable to basically handle being on jury for like a week because I had to go to court like right before BronyCon. So they wanted to have me on I'm not sure if they wanted to, but if they had me on a case for like a week and I sign on to it and then go back to BronyCon, I could come home and get arrested. So I was like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
So I pushed it off, and then I should be getting a letter relatively soon, actually.
So do you have any tips for listeners on how to get out of jury duty?
Put it off.
I've always favored the Lady Justice cosplay with a scale and sword.
I mean, you can go to jail. That helps get out of jury duty. Just find the closest guy, punch him right in the face, and then you go to jail, and you don't have to go to jury duty.
You see, what I did is I grew up in New York, and then I lived in Florida for the longest time. So when happens to me, I just tell them I still live in Florida.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
cheater.
I refuse to openly admit what I would say because conveniently, all of the times that they wanted to put me on jury duty, I had something that happened, like job or BronyCon or something like that.
Right. Yeah, something to back you up. That's always good.
There's always a reason, a convenient reason that I stayed on the form and send in and don't go to. Okay, you get the point.
Yeah. So I have a question, if I may, and it may have already been answered. So please let me know if it has. I had to step out for a minute. Vicodin. What got you into journalism, and then if you can transition that into how that got you into wanting to make reviews.
For journalism specifically, I would say The Daily Show got me into journalism just because, there's, depending on what, side of the fence you are politically, I don't care. I just found Daily Show a very refreshing format of being able to recite news and also be entertaining. And the same goes with both the Colbert Report and Last Week's Tonight with John Oliver. The trifecta, all of those shows were basically capable of doing what Saturday Night Live was failing at for 20 years, and that is be really good political comedy. And the same goes for American Dad.
I had to grow up through that, sir. That hurts.
Yeah, it's just we're in kind of an age right now that all of my classes, as well as hesitance for journalists to say that people like Jon Stewart, Colbert, and Oliver are journalists, and even they themselves have refuted it on numerous occasions.
Yeah,
but when you are capable of doing what they have done, and I would run out the podcast explaining all of the examples of how they have brought up problems and have them be solved or brought attention to things that no one would have noticed.
I just wanted to point out, as you kind of addressed there, Jon Stewart himself, when he asked him, how would you feel if people were going to you for your news? And he's like, I would be deeply disturbed, and he wasn't even joking. Is there any other, I don't want to be condescending, is there someone more serious that you could point to in journalism that would be more...
Yeah, like someone that you feel actually puts their heart into journalism and not comedy?
Look, I think entertainers are a strong, it's a wonderful platform. SilverQuill over there.
Well, we're not backtracking.
One of the best
here,
entertainers I'm just trying to say.
You just mean someone from CNN or Fox or MSNBC, stuff like that. I would say the classics, NPR, BBC. The interesting thing about journalism, which is
anybody before your time, like Cronkite or something like that.
Well, Cronkite.
Not Alex Jones. How dare you?
I don't know how.
I missed that.
I don't know how I haven't brought up Cronkite, but yeah, Cronkite.
I said not Alex Jones. How dare you?
Yeah, I'm familiar familiar with Alex Jones? Yeah, Cronkite himself. Not single-handedly, but he was the main reason that the Red Scare stopped happening. He basically, the Red Scare was happening for like a few years where he was getting political power by saying that other people of the government were communists, and Cronkite basically did a television program where
You're referring to Joseph McCarthy, correct?
Yes, Joseph McCarthy and McCarthyism.
Yes, sir.
And Cronkite basically he did like, I think it was an hour or something around there of his show where he completely deconstructed the entire framework of McCarthyism. And very shortly thereafter, it stopped. And I see those types of deconstructions within these entertainment shows. I just feel that there's not that type of thing nowadays because it's harder to get people's eyes on something that's serious. I'm not going to say that the entertainment industry or anything has like ruined journalism, but there is news is depressing.
It's always better
honest.
to look through it from a historical lens where you have like a Walter Cronkite, or you have these great figures in history where you can focus on the really great things. How often does history really even focus on like the depressing parts of what's going on, or even it sounds more historical and prolific? Like the Black Death sounds like this major moving thing for like humanity, whereas if you were there at the time, you wouldn't be thinking that, obviously.
I think the inherent problem is that perspective is really hard to have when it comes to the people who are higher up on the totem pole than us. This seems like a generality, but perspective is hard to learn. It's hard to absorb, and it's hard to apply to present day circumstances because pretty much everything that you do is within a fog of war, and not necessarily just regular wars. Like America nowadays is a joke. We had World War II. That was the last good thing we've done. That's the joke that I hear all the time from other countries. It's like, oh yeah, you guys saved us in World War II, but what have you done for us lately?
Where have you traveled abroad, sir, to give us context?
Yeah.
No, that's the thing, is that I have not traveled abroad, but I have Skype friends from all over the country.
I feel like the rating of this podcast is inching more towards our... So, oh well.
And I get caught right in the middle of all of those things, so gosh darn.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm back on that 8chan podcast again suddenly for some odd reason.
Well, at least everybody's mouth has been pretty clean so far.
Oh, no, I don't put the rating because of necessarily swearing. It's the actual content. It's the maturity of, do I think that, I don't know, or is a 13-year-old going to appreciate the kind of discussion, or is it something that's going to turn into a complete shitstorm in the comments? It's something I have to consider.
Yeah, I made that fanfiction joke and doomed us all.
Well, there's certain kinds of drama that I can kind of lump. I think Calpain mentioned it well when he's like, oh, I don't really appreciate drama in the fandom. And we're like, oh, for example, who? And he's like, Pink-a-Pony. I'm like, oh yeah, we can all agree she sucks.
Hey, just give me 10 minutes. I'll make analysis an actual dirty word.
Oh, baby.
Oh yeah, baby.
I'm almost curious. No, not almost. I am curious as to how you would do that.
It's just a joke.
Well,
First I'd get my Barry White voice going, baby. And then I talk about analyzing all night long.
Give SilverQuill and us 5 minutes, and we can make analysis the worst
so
thing in
what
this
you're
fan.
saying, SilverQuill, is you would become me.
I was going to sit there and say, wait a minute, you just said that EQD would make analysis the worst thing? Okay, I don't have to add anything.
Oh, awesome.
You walked into it, man. I didn't say
I got Fox News right there.
Oh, heavens.
Oh, it's TMZ to you, sir.
Okay, but to go back to the question, and I'm going to stir into reviewing. And the reason that I went into reviewing is because it's half spite and half reviewing is really good for my degree, which is journalism. There's an interview, and the dude that they're interviewing is talking out of his ass. And the interviewer, whether it be Jon Stewart, Anderson Cooper, one of the, Anderson Cooper would be another person that I would like, despite the shit that CNN keeps throwing him in. Those would be the type of people that I would be like, okay, this type of deconstruction on what someone is saying, and being able to be lightning fast with that as well, not just completely freezing up whenever they answer a question with complete bullshit and being like, well, you said blah blah blah. Same thing goes for reviewing.
Mm-hmm.
That type of being able, it's not like I'm talking to someone in front of me, but I feel that the time frame of being able to look at something, obviously it's just an opinion, but put a type of spin of what you think on it, something that I'm going to need to do if I'm ever out in the field.
Well, one of my questions questions there, you made a remark as being able to get these answers and out there as quickly as possible. That would imply that everyone who fumbles with their words are lying.
It's just there's different kinds of speech. Talk to any speech therapist and they'd be able to tell who's the one that's lying. And there are shows like Lie to Me or whatever, where it's like, oh, you winced your face, you must be lying. It's like, no, I mean, there are also times where a cigar is just a cigar. Like, I have no control over what the person on the other side of the camera is doing, but I do have control over whether I am well researched in what I say, and I feel that reviews, especially analysis, helps me with that. Maybe it doesn't, but I don't know, the way that I feel that I'd structure my videos, not to blow smoke up my ass, but I feel that I have an inherent idea and execution when I make them.
That might be a good segue into another question I was going to ask you. With all of that in mind, is there anyone else that you feel embodies what you look for in reviews and
I
things
asked
like
this
that?
before, Brawny. It didn't end well.
Duck and cover.
Well, that's perfectly fine. I mean, I didn't hear the answer, so who's your favorite,
It was
favorite reviewer?
It was off of the podcast that this type of question was asked.
This was what aged me a little bit before the show, and I was like, I'll just dance around that. It's not a bad question, Brawny. That's why I thought about it. I don't blame you.
Doomed us all again.
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
You're gonna kill us all!
I was really dying. I was like, let's go to something lighthearted and kind, pretty please. If you could bring back one cartoon you used to watch, what would it be and why?
What are the conditions? Just it has to come back no matter what?
Something you used to enjoy. You're like, oh, I don't know. Or I'll cite SilverQuill, Darkwing Duck.
There we go.
Here, something you liked. You're like, oh, Powerpuff Girls.
I want to say Ed and Eddie, but it was.
That's it, I'm out.
I feel that it was done with the Big Picture show. I felt that it was done.
Something
I don't know. A lot of the Cartoon Network
where they went to
shows.
school wasn't any good either, at least in my opinion.
Which show was that?
They were hit and miss. In like the last few seasons of Ed, Ed and Eddie, they went to school. Like they got out of the cul-de-sac and they started doing stuff in the school, and it was very hit or miss. Just because they didn't really know what to do with the scenery or the environment. Like they changed up the environment and they didn't really know how to profit off of it. So I understand how someone could say that the last few seasons of Ed, Ed and Eddie weren't really that good. There's just a lot of like, I think about a show and then I'm like, shit, I probably only like that because I was a kid. Or I think about a show and I'm like, it probably ran as
all right.
Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Oh,
that's my choice.
There you go. There you go.
That's a standing ovation, sir. That's where I stole that creepy eye off of my OC from.
Courage the Cowardly Dog ended, and it was a bummer because it ended with episode that is an okay finale. Like it ended with an episode called Perfect.
Yep.
Where basically Courage was trying his hardest to be perfect, and then finally he realized that there was no way that he could be perfect. That's an okay ending, but I feel that there is more life within Courage. But the original creator is like off doing other stuff that no one knows about. So
well, this is
lightning didn't strike twice, but Courage would be my choice.
This is, conversely the easy follow-up to that. What's a cartoon you wish never existed?
Oh, jeez.
Steven Universe.
What?
I'm Marry Me.
I'm just kidding.
What the fuck?
Between Courage,
Wait,
Kick,
you were
and SU,
kidding?
sir, I have
wanted to hear
misjudged
that.
you. You are a pious saint of a man.
That was my comment set. That was that question that I do where you could tell people haven't watched the rest of it because they immediately pause it and write in the comments. But no, my actual answer, I don't know. I don't watch garbage. If I find something that's really terrible, I don't watch past the first episode.
You've never been a kid and got stuck in front of the boob. Oh, I forget you kids had internet. Silverback here.
There were times where there was like inherent garbage on the TV. I was a kid. I didn't really give a shit. And I don't look back on it now because if it was forgettable, I forgot about it.
I remember watching Generation 3 My Little Pony because it was like before the good cartoons came on,
Oh,
it was.
Oh, you think that's bad? I watched the Hammerman cartoon.
I've seen a little bit of that. That was the same time as what was it? Little Shop of Horrors was around, I believe. Same syndicate.
It was a little after that, but yeah, no, see, it's really bad because I remember watching it as a kid, and for some reason I liked it. I don't know why.
Hammerman? You mean like Repairman from all that, or am I thinking of something else?
No. This is before your time, you whippersnapper.
MC Hammer.
Oh, how dare you?
Hey, you kids. My day,
MC Hammer? Oh, sweet God Almighty, no.
My day, when we watched garbage, it was actual garbage. We got in front of the dumpster and just sat there, watched the flies.
Yeah, it's great entertainment. Yeah.
It was followed by the paint drying channel.
Oh, I guess my actual question would be a lot of the shows on the Disney Channel.
Woo! You should have stuck with SU. You'll get less hate.
Yeah, right? I don't know, just I guess I was just one of those people who preferred Cartoon Network,
I
and
didn't expect that to be
sometimes.
such a loaded question. Jeez.
Well, yeah, it's like there was a comedian I remember saying where he's like, "Have you ever sit down in front of Netflix and you're like, God, this show is shitty, but I'll give it 7 more episodes." Like, I don't do that. I would rephrase the question to be like, if there's anything that I don't want to happen, I hate terrible stand-up comedy.
You know,
I
you
love.
kind of you've laid the foundation for this one, since you don't seem to
God.
like people who, maybe don't watch, terrible things. What are your thoughts on, say, the mysterious Mr. Enter?
That's it, everyone. Batten down the hatches.
I watched like 1 minute of his review and then closed the tab because I wasn't interested. Like, it's just a lot of the people whose opinions I respect have him liked on like Twitter and like Facebook and stuff, but
I'm not going to argue with him.
the only
Yeah.
the
Are
only
you?
reviewer that I avidly follow is JonTron, and I am completely aware that his reviews are not the type of stuff that I would say is art.
I'm not going to argue. Look, if you like John,
Yeah.
it's their own. Everybody needs a chuckle, a laugh.
Yeah,
humor
Yeah.
is very essential, and that's
Well,
why
that's the thing is, like, I wouldn't call him guilty pleasure either. It's just I don't look to him for reviews. I look to him for entertainment. It's the same reason why people don't look at Game Grumps as quality Let's Players. It's two people improving back and forth, and that's what I watch for. I don't watch for them to beat a level in every episode. Yeah, their fandom has a lot of problems with, like, they release an episode and they don't really get anywhere, and people bitch even though it was a fucking hilarious episode. Like, I don't know. Oh, Gigook is a really good anime reviewer. I don't know if any of you have heard of him.
Is there any current anime you're into, since we're going to segue that way?
I've been following Detective Conan, which was dubbed into Case Closed for
Yep.
like
I'm a bit familiar with that.
Yeah, I know that.
for like 10 years.
Wait, how many
And anime
seasons does
just-
it have?
It has like 800 episodes so far.
Holy-
and it's ongoing, and it's like not even halfway done. So
Oh my god.
I had no idea that series was running for that long. I mean, I heard of it and it was like, oh, well.
yeah. Well, the thing is, the English dub was garbage. So
yeah.
they dubbed like the first 80 episodes, and they stopped right before my favorite character came in. I watched the dubs. I was like, okay. And then I switched to subs, and like 3 episodes later, my favorite character came in, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm watching this till I die. And then I just... And I just followed the rest of the, I guess, another guilty pleasure of mine, because the plot moves so goddamn slowly. Like, it moves slower than One Piece. It moves slower than Naruto. Like, it's...
Wait, call it a guilty pleasure. It's just a different kind, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wait.
well, it's like, it's inherently interesting. Like, a lot of the murder cases are all, like, I don't know how he managed to make 800 different murder cases that are all inherently different in some way.
Do they feel like they're boosted from, like, if you've watched any kind of traditional, I don't know, Agatha Christie kind of Poirot?
Probably. I read And There Were None, and there was, like, a kind of homage to And There Were None.
Oh,
like,
that's a favorite for mine.
one of the in one of the seasons. And there was another season where it was kind of lackluster because like half of the murders were done with piano wire, so it was like, oh, come on. Like different kinds of piano wire, like a piano wire attached to a weight, and then they throw like a fishing pole, and like the weight hits the back of the person's head and like immediately kills them, like just shit like that. They did that for like a season, and it really bummed me out, and then the next season was better, so I was like, okay, I'll keep going.
It sounds like the author of that show is going to end up going the way of whoever wrote Sherlock Holmes, where he just can't end it, so he kills all the main characters, or he kills the main character in the worst cliffhanger ever.
He has a fail-safe ending already.
Yeah, and
like,
what's that?
Well, no one knows.
Yeah, I
like,
was
he
about to
has,
say.
Oh,
he
okay.
has
Hits
like a
the
final.
planet.
Yeah, he has like a final ending chapter plan just in case something happens to him. Like he did the same thing that Oda from One Piece did. Oda is the writer of One Piece, and he basically made a fail-safe just in case he like dies or something, where it ends the show. What's that anime called? What's that? It was really popular like the last year, and it just ended.
Was it Kill la Kill? That's about
Is
all
it
I
from the
can
same people who did Gurren Lagann?
No. I don't know, but
I'm
like
ashamed
the,
that Brawny got the anime thing right before me, Jesus.
but yeah,
Well,
Kill la
I mean,
Kill
it's-
was
they're
a very
basically
interesting
that is
anime.
'cause I was looking for Gurren Lagann like merchandise at an anime convention, and I was specifically told there's not going to be a whole lot of it. That studio was focusing all their efforts on Kill la Kill because it's airing currently. And I was like, well, shoot.
Well, Kill la Kill like exploded. It was really popular.
Oh, it was really good.
For good reason. It was pretty good. If they took out like 3 episodes, it would have been flawless.
I want to go around the podcast with this one. What's everyone's favorite drink, starting with the guest?
Chocolate milk.
Oh, there we go. Beat that, Brawny.
Lame.
Yeah, I was going to say cream soda.
Ooh, we got a badass here. Everybody step back.
Hey, shut up. I got knocked out by a strawberry daiquiri. angry. Okay, I'm never touching that stuff again.
Donut?
I'm a big fan of cheap beer. I can drink cheap beer like crazy. I like gas.
How about you, Mr. Calpain?
Orange soda.
There we go. SilverQuill?
The blood of my enemies.
Perfect.
Yeah, you gotta watch out when you take him to parties. He's just a bloodsucker.
That's right.
Yeah.
I bring us. If I bring us,
that coming, and I didn't.
if I walk towards you with a straw,
I told you guys that hippogriffs are violent.
Well, there we go. I got a new
Always.
animation idea for Manga Common.
oh, there you go. There you go. Actually, I have a question.
Go ahead.
We're kind of backtracking here, but when we talk about quality and not watching if you just don't like it. What's your counter argument to people who say, it's a kid's show"?
Oh God.
Are we talking about MLP or just in general?
Really, it applies to almost anything, but the most common
Okay.
version I've encountered is it's My Little Pony. It's a kid's show. Why review?
Oh, it's a kid's show in general. The problem that I have with that, the obvious counter argument, which is that children are capable of absorbing a narrative that is a little more structured than people will give it credit for. The same with like animals. I have known some children that are smarter than a lot of adults that I have met.
Yeah.
So I feel that it runs in the same problem gaming has recently, where it's like if you structure what's kind of been proven and works, you don't lose. Like you got to think about the people that are like putting all the money behind these types of cartoons. It's that they have all of the data that says children react to stuff like 80s Transformers and everything, and all they see is their profits going up, but they don't really think about possible outliers that could be affecting these types of things. And like I would say that MLP is one of those outliers where, I believe that Foss was in the right where she was like, if you make something that everyone can enjoy, it just gets like, you just get better as a result.
Isn't that a paraphrase from Disney? If you make an animation aimed for kids, you're doomed to fail.
Yeah, well, it's like, I think that Disney also said, like, if you make it so that everyone can enjoy it, it's just, like, better as a result, or you make more money, or, like, whatever the hell, like, they would say. But, like, the answer to the first question is that basically it's a kid's show, I feel, is a excuse to make terrible content. Why review MLP if it's a kid's show is that there are some episodes and there are some areas that I feel a cigar is just a cigar. There are also some episodes that are ridiculously dense or have a history behind them or have a lot of good things that you can kind of deconstruct, whether it be bad or good. I don't think that people look into that when they say it's just a kid's show. I think what they look into is the types of generalities that all of the 80s cartoons and everything have been, where it's like, oh, I'm going to put color in your face, buy our toys. And, we as reviewers / analysts, you obviously being a way more popular one than me, we kind of see the capability to find more within what some would consider to be something that's just insubstantial and color in your face. It closes a door in a conversation that I feel we should constantly be having, because the same thing kind of happened with Steven Universe. I don't like Steven Universe, but I can see the inherent value within this type of show being way more dense than it could have been. Like, you can, it's especially infuriating when you have all of these shows like Family Guy and American Dad, where they stopped in the writer's room, they stopped caring like 6 years ago, and they're still on the fucking TV because people don't know what anything is. Like, that's the other thing. It's hard to be a reader. It's hard to it's hard to look into something more than what it is, because A, some people are not meant to do it, and B, you don't have to, and C, it's hard to do correctly. And even then, correctly is completely subjective. Like, all of these, there's a bunch of analysts in this fandom, and they all have their type of taste, and all of them have their own merit, and all of their content is, inherently motivating in some way. Because I can imagine if you sat someone down, had them run through all of the analysis from everyone in the fandom, they will get something out of it, or more. They'll get a lot out of it. But, these type of just, because this fandom is so big, you have the capability to do this type of thing. And we've already seen it done with other shows as well. Mysterious Mr. Enter, I'm sure, is a good example, where he looks into other cartoons. I remember seeing a video about him doing one of the worst SpongeBob episodes ever, and he's critiquing critiquing it and looking into it and deconstructing how it's terrible, like that's good. That's the type of stuff that like this type of analysis and reviewing is for. But there's also the type of construction for reviewing where it's just like, oh, hey, I'm going to look at this and I don't like what this is. And like you focus on that for a little bit, like that's cool too. This type of, you know, there's a tendency to lean back on generalities when you run out of space to argue your point.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that bit about you know, not needing to, people thinking they don't need to put effort into kid shows or things like that. I was a teacher for a little while. I got that complaint from parents, and it astounded me because I was going into it when I was learning my crafts. I always held myself to a high standard so I could get better because I had reasons to get better. And when I started teaching, I tried to bring that same understanding of the importance of the craft and potential out of my students, and my parents were like, why are you so strict with them, or you know, why are they? And I would say, well, I'm a firm believer in being a result of our own actions and reaping what we sow. They are very capable of handling these things, but if you never simulate these situations for them, they will never learn, and then they will grow up and become the best word I can think of off the top of my head is incompetent.
I was going to say, I thought you were going to say from Tumblr.
You know, I could have, but I'm not that mean, at least not while I'm trying to have sympathy for people.
Yeah.
So
never touch the stuff.
Yeah, it's you know, I'm very glad you said that, and I really wish that more people in our age had that understanding.
Yeah, the problem is that I think generalities are way too easy to use, and they close conversations way too quickly. And the same thing goes with ego. That basically becomes part of your personality, I guess, for lack of a better word. Like Yahtzee from Zero Punctuation. I dropped him because there were points where he just decided to phone in the entire review because he didn't like the game.
He does have his written review is a lot more in depth, but no one bothers to.
Yeah, his like I like those. His extra punctuations are really good.
I remember looking at extra punctuation and I'm like, this is really good. It's a shame I don't read.
The past year, he just has completely phoned in all of his reviews, and Bill Maher especially, his show is just getting the type of ego behind that political commentator. I've heard all of his jokes 5 million goddamn times now, so I just stopped watching his show.
He's the Democratic version of Rush Limbaugh. What do you want?
Basically. Ego and all. And, you know, when it comes to the type of ego where you say, my opinions are law and fact, it's frustrating for me because not only does that close the discussion, but you can't, that's the type of thing that needs to be debated. Or, that's the type of thing that is usually an argument or discussion that can actually have a valid flow within it. It can go up, down, sideways, back. You can go all sorts of questions and answers and go deep into them, or figure out that you're on common ground. The inability to structure a common ground is, I feel, the hardest thing to do in discussions and arguments.
I've had a couple of them, surprisingly enough, in this podcast with you. It's been kind of refreshing.